The Green Party just released an alternative budget, and it was very interesting. Recently, I have distanced myself from the Green Party. Today, I will be providing my perspective on this recent development. The budget included many good policies. A tax-free threshold, providing a major tax cut for working-class people. Free doctor's appointments to make healthcare more accessible. These are policies that I strongly support and routinely advocate for. Free dental care was another one. I do like this policy, although I am somewhat sceptical about how it would be funded. Labour's version would be more affordable, as it only covers basic care and only applies to certain age groups. It is a good idea, but there is a lot of investment that is needed in this country, and there are always going to be opportunity costs to weigh against one another with this kind of thing. But for the most part, I liked their budget. It also proposed an inheritance tax, another policy I support. The proposed tax would only target the wealthy. It is a good way of raising funding for the other policies, tackling wealth inequality, and reducing hereditary hierarchies, all in one move. It simultaneously addresses a few significant issues. I don't like hereditary class hierarchies. I believe in equality of opportunity. I believe in meritocracy. And wealth inequality is a serious issue. Wealth is power. Massive wealth inequality inevitably begins undermining freedom and democracy. Just look at the USA. I was impressed by the alternative budget, and I say that as someone who has harshly criticised the Greens in recent weeks. It was good to see a focus on pro-worker policy. And these public services and tax cuts would be great for working people. Some complain that it means higher taxes on the wealthy. And so what? The rich will still be very rich, just less so than they are now. And people forget that high taxes on the rich have historically accompanied periods of relative prosperity. Look at the USA and New Zealand. From the end of the Second World War until about 1980, both nations enjoyed a great deal of prosperity. And this was a period of high taxes. It was also a period of stronger public services, less wealth inequality, and a prosperous middle class. In the 1980s, we decided that low taxes were essential. The result was skyrocketing wealth inequality as the rich got more and the poor got less. The result was weak, failing public services and bad infrastructure. Low taxes for the rich are not inevitable or necessary. The right wing has started doing extreme fearmongering about the budget already. They claimed the Green Party tax adjustments would give with one hand and take with the other. That is very ironic, considering that is what National literally just did. They provided an income tax cut, but increased other taxes and cut public services to pay for it. Sure, you might get a few dollars more a week, but you pay those dollars back in fuel tax increases and cuts to free prescriptions, not to mention having to pay back the borrowing. They were fearmongering about the inheritance tax, calling it a death tax. This framing was most likely imported from the USA, where historically the right has always used similar rhetoric to protect their rich donors. It is not a death tax, it is a tax that serves to keep wealth inequality under control, prevent hereditary class hierarchy, and provide funding for crucial investment. It is not a death tax because the vast majority of people who die are not going to be paying it. Calling it a death tax is a cheap use of loaded framing that attempts to distract from these overwhelming benefits. This loaded framing is just stupid. It is like calling income tax a fine on hard work, or calling the road user tax institutional banditry. We can use a loaded framing that serves our political ends, but it is a pretty disingenuous way of conducting politics. We need to get beyond empty talking points to inspect the actual value of these policies. And the limited inheritance tax proposed by the Greens is obviously justified. It lets people inherit a lot of money, but it also puts in place some limits to raise funds, control wealth inequality, and reduce hereditary class hierarchy. Of course, the Green Party was accused of being Marxist and communist about 1 trillion times. And for what? Wanting taxes and public services? Winston called them a communist. He also supports taxes and public services. Does that make him a communist too? At what point does wanting these things make you a communist? It is a stupid, meaningless buzzword-plagued debate. And Winston throws around these accusations when he is the ideological child of Robert Muldoon. Communism does not describe taxes and public services. If it did, every society on Earth would be communist. Most countries have these things to one extent or another. Communism describes a classless, stateless society within which the economy is owned and operated by the people, and where private property has been abolished. Nothing in the Green Party agenda suggested communism. It was just typical social democracy type stuff. The kind of stuff that once made this country great. I did have one criticism of the Green Party budget. They supported borrowing a lot of money. I do not like this. It is a bad look. And it is pretty dumb. You're basically giving people something and making them pay for it tomorrow. And it is an unsustainable approach. It makes everything feel like a cynical effort at winning votes. You can raise funding without borrowing. There are 3 ways to do this. Raise taxes, cut spending, or build a stronger economy. The Greens could have found a better way to fund their agenda. They could have cut some things from it, or even cut some existing policies and services that they dislike. They could have introduced more taxes on the wealthy. Or they could have sought to build a stronger economy to raise funds. The issue with the Greens is that their commitment to degrowth makes them skeptical of the latter. Personally, I think we need to be investing in modern technological industries. That is what we should be doing if we want to maintain first world living standards. We need to cultivate a modern economy. A stronger economy means more tax revenue to spend. I would like to see the Greens take such an approach. It would improve their credibility substantially. But James Shaw is gone, and this will harm their economic credibility. Overall, the alternative budget was better than I expected, but not without its flaws. I want to hear what you think. Tell me in the comments section, and thank you for taking the time to listen to me.